How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to some more Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. In today's video, we're going to be exploring a new island, the Goron Island. Now, you might be wondering, what's a Goron? Well, I'm hoping you didn't just ask that, because they've been in several Zelda games. However, if you don't know, because you've never played a Zelda game, or you've never played a Zelda game with the Goron, they are basically rock-eating creatures that like curling up in balls. They're pretty cool, because they roll around and stuff too. And there's a really cool mechanic that's coming up with this next dungeon where we actually get to control another character. So I think you guys will perhaps enjoy it, but who knows. This is going to be our second sea boss fight, I believe, because I think the first one was that little eye creature. But this one's, it's not really difficult, because all you have to do is shoot the eyes, and then if those yellow energy balls get close to you, you just shoot them, and you know, that takes care of them. Otherwise, his weaknesses are just going to be the yellow eyes. The red ones mean that you've already blown them up, so then you don't have to worry about them unless you want to. You can keep shooting the red ones if you really want to. Or actually, no, you do need to shoot the red ones. Oof, my bad. So you do shoot the red ones. Once the red ones turn that little purpley color, showing that it's closed, and the eye is dead, or destroyed, I guess. There's no way to move the ship for this part, so I don't know how you avoid this attack there. I think it's just from maybe shooting the weak spot at the right time. But other than that, it's just a simple rinse and repeat, because all you can do during this boss fight is shoot the cannon, so just making sure you're shooting the eyes, and he'll go down just like that. And we can make our way over to Goron Island, and I think it does that little autopilot thing. I was so confused for a sec. I think this is going to be a place that we only have to revisit one more time after the initial like dungeon is beaten, because I think there's just one item that we need. And I'll do a little spoiler alert warning now. Maybe skip ahead the next 20 seconds or so if you don't want to hear this. The item that we're going to need is the grapple, which sort of acts like a hook shot, and it's going to be able to get us to far off places, so it's pretty cool. But otherwise, this dungeon's item is kind of, it's alright, but it's not my cup of tea personally. Okay, I shouldn't say that, because it does have some cool uses, but I think they could have picked a better item. But I won't give away much more than that, because the next dungeon item is way cooler than this one. But it works, you know. I can see this, why it's a one and done thing, because it's a cool mechanic, but it's not something that I would see returning. Okay, let me rephrase that. It's not an item that really should be overused in a Zelda game, like a touchpad one, because it has its limit with this game, but it's fun to use. But then I don't really think I would ever see it being like used ever again. Like, I'll get more into it once we actually get into the temple part, but it's just a strange item. Okay, you can kind of see it there. It's the Bombchu. So actually, let me get into this. Throughout Zelda games, I always find Bombchus kind of useless. Like, they're used twice that I can really think of in Ocarina of Time, maybe 3 times, and I want to say that one of the times, even without glitches, you might be able to skip using it entirely. And they're in the Oracle games as well. Not really useful in there either, because it's a linked game item, so I don't know what the use of it really is there, besides being a little bonus to have. I honestly think that although I wouldn't see it being used again in a touchscreen Zelda game, which I don't think it's in Spirit Tracks, it does work at its best in this game because of how it controls. Like, if you controlled it with the joystick, or joystick, C-pad, whatever you want to call it, I don't think it would work as well, because sometimes the controls are a little bit sensitive, especially in the older Zelda games, so I just couldn't see it working the greatest there. Like in Ocarina of Time, if they used the same mechanics for this game, like where you actually control the Bombchu. But it's just my opinion, and I don't know, I'm kind of hoping we don't really see the Bombchu return anytime soon. Or if we do see it return, maybe give it a better mechanic. So for this guy here, all you gotta do is either tap your microphone or blow into it. You can shout if you really want to, and then he'll walk on the switch. So the whole microphone mechanic is also interesting as well. I kind of see it being more interesting than the Bombchus themselves, but that's not to say that it's like this super cool mechanic overall. I think it's cool, but it's just not something that I really think needs to be overdone. Like Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass, it's alright. Spirit Tracks, blowing on the flute, it could have been handled better. Like maybe with a better microphone. But that's just me. Overall, I do think instruments in Zelda games are fairly well done for the most part. I think Spirit Tracks, Spirit Flute, is really the only one that I kind of have an issue with. So, yeah, that's kind of all I have to say. I know I'm rambling a bit about like Bombchu's instruments, but gotta get it out there. So for the rest of this island, well, one thing you do need to do, make sure you talk to all the Gorons. I think that's this island that you need to. Pretty sure it is. So talk to all the Gorons before you meet up with the Elder, and there's going to be a little quiz that you take. And the answers are in the guidebook, and then they should be in like game facts or something, some sort of walkthrough you can find all the answers for as well. Zelda Dungeon, go there. That's where I find a lot of my information from. So, or if you really want to, you can just study the island. Personally, if this wasn't a Let's Play, I might have a bit more interest in doing that. But for the sake of keeping the videos somewhat compact, because this is also going to be the dungeon video, just because this segment was only 14 minutes. So, putting it all together, since it all fits, Gorons, Goron Temple, it's all really exciting. I really like this temple. I'm not a fan of the item too much, like I've said, but the temple's pretty cool overall, especially with the being able to control the Goron, which you'll see in just a bit. So in order to get permission and to actually go into the temple, we have to become a member of the tribe. And I don't know how he knows exactly how to talk to all the Gorons, but he somehow does, so we can go ahead and start this quiz. So maybe you'll get lucky, and you'll get the exact same questions I get. Or there might only be 6 set questions. I think I'm thinking of the Keaton quiz, where there's a whole bunch of different questions. These might all be the same. And if you struggle, you do get the core hint, if you want that. Sounds really silly, core hint. I believe these actually are the same questions, because that way you can just study them if you mess up, so they're not too difficult. Especially when you're like me, just using the guidebook. But you know, that's what it's there for. Makes things a bit more thorough. And I like that little dramatic pause he does when he's just trying to fake you out. A little silly. And just like that, we're now a Goron. Well, I guess we're not biologically a Goron, but we're considered a member of the tribe, which is all we needed to do. And we got ourselves a nice wisdom gem. And we unfortunately do have to make a payment to him. But, spoiler alert, we're going to get all our money back, and then some, after the temple. So, in order to get to the temple, we have to go through that little maze up at the top. And we have to work with this little Goron child, which I'm assuming is older than Link. Looks kind of older, so maybe he's like potentially a bully. I don't know. But I do gotta say that I think this is probably one of my favorite islands that I've experienced so far. We do need to find Gongoron first. I think that's how you say his name. just gotta walk around a little bit till you find him. I don't think he's inside. But like some of the things I do try and attempt to figure out on my own, like going through the temples, I kind of try and do that by myself. If there's like some really tedious puzzle, then I'll resort to the guidebook, but for the most part, I do try and keep it by myself. Which is what I did with Tears of the Kingdom. And for the most part, I think that went fairly decent. I mean, I did not beating the game. Or actually, hold up. For the shrines, I most certainly did not figure that out myself. Because if anyone watched my Tears of the Kingdom playthrough, you will know that I was somehow just finding shrines like this and that towards the end. And that is because I am not good at looking around in huge open world games. I would say in smaller games like Ocarina of Time, well, I guess that's kind of like cheating because I've played it so many times now that I could probably find everything within a decent amount of time. But Tears of the Kingdom, great game. I don't like the map size, but it is what it is. And the reason there's two paths, one of them is going to lead to a treasure. The other one is the lead passage to the temple. If you don't want to go to the temple, well, okay, you don't have to go to the temple if you don't want to beat the game. But if you want to go to the temple, I will eventually get to the temple. Just take some time. And there are some hidden walls. And this is kind of where having a whole bunch of bombs is really helpful, because I like using them to defeat enemies and whatnot. That chest there, I think, is the one where you need the dungeon item for, I think. Otherwise, I believe it is not. I don't think there's any other chests. For some reason the audio's off in the video. That might just be because I set my laptop in quiet mode. But if not, I'll just adjust it. You guys won't even know the difference. You'll be like, well, it sounds normal to me. Which will hopefully be the case. Otherwise, I'll just have to extract all the audio. Not a big deal. Just a little strange. Because I'm not even really sure how that would happen. Unless it's just an issue with the playback right now. But we'll see. Anyways, we are getting there close to the temple. Very close. And whenever there's a spot to bomb, you'll know because that design's on the floor up there, which I didn't realize at first. But don't worry, I figured it out. Okay, there is a chest here. My mistake. It's 100 rupees, so I would get that, unless you want to be poor. In which case, you're 100% free to do so. So, make sure you pay attention to the floor, little tile thing, unlike I did. And then we're just about there. Just hopefully you know to bomb the right spot. But other than that, it's kind of self-explanatory. I'm just not the brightest. And over here is going to be our treasure chest, other treasure chest, containing a power gem. And by this point, we have quite a lot of gems overall. I cannot recall if I had enough for the courage upgrade yet. But, like I think I've said in a previous video, it really doesn't matter which you choose, offense or defense. You don't even need either one of them. Excuse me. Personally, I picked defense just because I'm kind of expecting to get hit a lot. You notice there was a cut there. That's where I was going to end the video off originally, but I decided to keep on going. Throughout this temple, I would say use defense just because there's a lot of hazards. But for the boss fight, I think I would maybe recommend switching to the offense. And I thought I could walk through quicksand there, which didn't go very well. But yeah, just switch to whatever you want to use. It really doesn't matter in the end. And unfortunately, we do have to deal with BMOs, but in this game, I gotta say they're a bit more tedious than they were in Ocarina of Time. And Twilight Princess, they're not really found that often. So that's a cool little thing that you can actually do in this one. You might not think of it at first, but your shield can actually block the BMOs. I don't know if that's because of the level 2, or the level 1 wisdom upgrade or not. I gotta imagine it's probably not because of that, unless they made the shield particularly weak against everything in the game. Excuse me. Got the hiccups. But it's still cool nonetheless, because you have a shield that you can't really control. So the fact that it automatically works on certain enemies is pretty cool. By the way, we can continue onwards through this mysterious looking door. I don't know why they chose that door design there instead of just the generic blue one that they always use. Probably for that reason, because it's so generic. Decided to switch it up, which is alright with me. And this, like I was saying earlier in the video, this place has a really unique feature, and that you can control the Goron, Gongoron, who we met earlier. And before I forget, the reason that's there is because there's going to be a treasure chest, which you may have noticed when we created the bridge. You want to drop a bomb down there. Otherwise, you might be able to shoot an arrow from the bottom. I'm not sure. But bomb works either way, so I would go with the bomb. You probably can shoot an arrow down there, but there's no point to doing it because you're going to have to rush up again. So just use the bomb. And then we can make our way over here. And we've crossed the pit sand, the quicksand of death. And we can open this other door by destroying those two enemies. So, what we have with this whole temple, from my experience with it, it's like sort of like the sand palace and the fire palace kind of bunched up together, because it does give me Dodongo's Cavern vibes, and it also has that. What do I want to upgrade this to? I guess I think it's the Sand Palace, called the Sand Palace in A Link Between Worlds. So it feels more so. Well, in kind of the Spirit Temple from Ocarina of Time. It's just got those feels going, you know? But I'm not really sure if it was meant to be having a sort of fire feel to it. Because I think that was sort of what the first temple was meant for. I think that was a temple, not a dungeon. Which I forget. Maybe, was that the, Cave of Flames? Or, no, that's the Minish Cave. I don't know what it was called anymore. But it was pretty cool. You know, a beginner-friendly dungeon. What would you expect? But still really cool at the same time. Without being, more easy than necessary, you know? There are some traps that you can fall into there. So it was pretty cool. Not a fan of these skull guys. I think you can use your boomerang. Probably you can use bombs, too, if you can land a hit on them. I'm just not the greatest at getting them, because I think they're slightly above where your sword will hit, so it makes them a little bit difficult to take out. But overall, there's going to be worse enemies coming up, I can tell you that much. So, make our way around here. And I actually took a little break in between recording this, the audio that is, because excuse me, I keep getting hiccups. I was hungry, so I was like, I need to eat something. So, right around the time that I was finishing up that Goron Island, I was like, yeah, let me just take a break quick. So I did, because, you know, a full person is a happy person, right? And now Gongoron's kind of changed his opinion of us. I think You know, some kids are pretty bright, you know? They don't act like a typical bully child like there are sometimes. So I think Gongoron just probably because Link was an outsider, you know. I imagine that they hold like, tribe members very seriously based on the fact that we had to go through that like little quiz, which, for all we know, could have been really difficult for some. Excuse me. Like maybe other people have tried, and Gongoron just kind of sees that Link's an outsider, and not really be super respected. But now, seeing the fact that Link's already come all this way without being captured, kind of shows him that Link's got skill. So he probably approves of that and thinks it's really cool. So here, we can switch characters by pressing the icon there. And unfortunately, this is the only temple in the game that allows us to do so. Which, it's kind of sad, honestly. Because it's a cool mechanic, working together. But at the same time, in Spirit Tracks, you do get to control Zelda. So, I guess it's not the last time we'll see something like this, but I like the idea of being in a temple together, you know? Getting to actually control, like, one of the other species, which we could do in Wind Waker as well, I believe, with, Medley, that's her name, and whatever the Kokiri guy was. Or not the Kokiri, the, what do they call it? Korok. But I like this guy's abilities better. And here's some like legs. You can kill them with your sword, or if they suck up the bomb, they'll die instantly. Kill them however you want to. And then we gotta get this guy Gongoron over here, land on the switch. And then we got a big old chest for ourselves. So don't forget that, because you kind of need it. Well, that is if you want 100% the game. And it's got the Bombchus in, so you kind of need it overall. So make sure you grab it. And we are actually able to get the bomb bag upgrade. So the way that getting the Bombchu bag is going to work is that we are going to just had a moment there because I left my old audio recording right there for a second. It was really strange. The way it works is for getting certain letters in the game, which is what we're going to need to get the bomb bag upgrade, Bombchu bag upgrade I should say, you have to wait 24 hours. Now, you can just switch your DS clock, so I don't get it immediately after this video, I don't think. I think it's maybe 2 videos later that I get it. But I would still recommend getting it, just so that we have a better capacity versus only having 10 Bombchus. Because you kind of do use them somewhat often, and it's kind of easy to mess up, so we don't want to do that. But that's all we have to do with Gongoron for now. We do get to control him again later. Yeah, it took me a minute to realize I could drop down there. I don't recommend ever paying the dude to find out where the chests are, just unless you're really curious. I mean, if you're following along, you could pay him if you want to, but I'm showing where all the chests are anyway, so, like, who are you picking, him or me? It was a little overly dramatic, I apologize. But the 10 Bombchu counts a little low, but I guess that just gives more reason to add the bomb bag upgrade, like a side quest for it, you know? Because the minigame for the unlocks the bomb bag upgrade, or Bombchu bag upgrade, is actually pretty fun, in my opinion. And I don't know what Link's head was doing there. Just like stretching it or something, I don't know. But this is going to be the last time we see Gongoron for a while, so it's a little sad, but we'll still get to play and blaze him one more time. And another little spoiler alert, our next temple is actually going to be ice-based, and there's their whole little colony there. I forget what they're called. But for some reason, this is the only dungeon where you get to control another character. Like, you don't get to control one of the ice characters, which I think would be really cool if they have, like, some sort of freezing effect. But then I guess that wouldn't really work in an ice-based dungeon. Or maybe it could if there's water, and then you use the character to freeze the water somehow, but I guess they just kind of didn't want to do that. Which is alright, because we already have a whole ton of species in Zelda games. And I was just waiting here to get more Bombchus, which you really don't need. there's going to be plenty throughout the temple. I mean, if you want to stock up on them, go for it. Nothing wrong with that. I think it kind of took me a minute to figure out what to do, but rest assured, I do figure out what to do. I think I would say this temple's kind of, so far, one of the only ones that you can somewhat get a little lost in. Just because that one staircase. If you're not paying attention like I didn't, it can get you. And I think those suckers like only steal your shield if you're in there a certain amount of time. Like if you don't rub the screen fast enough. But if you rub the screen fast enough, then you'll get out. Hopefully intact. But if you don't, it's not my fault, because you got stuck in the first place, you know? So for this here, we have to hit both switches at the same time, which might seem really scary. But fortunately, we do have Bombchus. And I don't think I would have been able to do this temple very well if I didn't have the bomb bag upgrades. So I'm gonna say it. The bomb bag upgrades normally I feel like are not very useful. However, in this game, I feel like they're very useful. Like, extremely useful. And the way this little part here is gonna work is just that as soon as the Bombchu goes off, hits that switch, make sure you swing your sword at the same time. Just like that. Easy peasy, right? No, I'm curious, do you guys feel that the dungeons, temples in this game are a little too straightforward? Or do you find any of them to be particularly challenging? I mean, excluding Temple of the Ocean King, because I think there's like an argument to be made that that's not necessarily a standard temple, you know, like you have to keep going back there over and over. So I would classify that in like the same area as like Tower of Spirits is. So we'll count that separate, but counting the normal dungeons and stuff, would you say there's any that are like particularly hard, or is everything just kind of straightforward? Because I feel like a lot of this game has some fairly straightforward stuff. There is something in the next dungeon that's like kind of makes you think a little bit, and I think I understand what they're going through with this game. It feels to me like this was meant to be sort of like for newcomers to get into Zelda, you know, kind of ease them into it, because I do feel like Spirit Tracks is the more difficult game when you compare Phantom Hourglass with Spirit Tracks, but I do find Spirit Tracks to be a more fun game. So I guess it's just all personal preference, but I really think this game was meant to be more so beginner friendly. Which is why nothing is like too terribly tedious or anything aside from a few mini games, because that's something like only 100%ers would go after, you know, like that bow mini game. Like that one really made you work for it. But that bow mini game is probably the real only difficult mini game in this game, which I think that's fair, you know. I don't think they needed to make more super difficult mini games, because I feel mini games should be fun, not necessarily super challenging, or like maybe have a higher difficulty, harder difficulty, but still keep it like reasonably achievable, you know, not like that bow mini game, because more so like the ship mini game or something, but maybe a tad bit easier than that one. Because I can tell you right now, 7-year-old me, the ship mini game, rough. And I like that the Bing and Bong guy is just like right next to the doorway. Like you haven't even gotten anywhere in this part of the map, and he's just right there. Alrighty, take your rupees. So I don't know. He's a strange guy, and this creates a little shortcut here. I wonder why they chose to have the treasure chest dudes anyways. Are they in spirit tracks? Because I don't remember them. I don't know. Fast way to kill these guys, if you're actually able to use your stylus better than me. Jump attacks and spin attacks will take care of them really quickly, especially if you're using the offense upgrade, because then they'll die fairly fast. In fact, if you have them bunched up together, you can probably just use 3 spin attacks in a row to take care of them. Or just do it the way I did and just keep on slashing at them. Because I can't really figure out how you do jump attacks. I thought you had to like tap, not just like sort of slash. But that doesn't seem to work very often. I mean, sometimes I can pull it off. But I think I might just have to get the hang of it. Like rolling, I'm still struggling to figure that out. But it's coming slowly but surely. And we have these green blobs again, which I feel we haven't seen since, like, that first dungeon. And all they do is slow Link down, so not that big of a deal. But we do see a lot of these electric shoes, which this dungeon really doesn't have anything to do with electricity, so I think it's a weird choice, but whatever works, you know? Whatever works. I like that little puzzle there that makes you use the Bombchu. I don't know if you could use the bomb or not. Like, just set the bomb down there. But maybe you could. And I believe for this part, you can use either arrows, boomerang, or your Bombchus. Just whatever floats your boat, really. Well, no, I don't think we'd be able to use arrow to hit this one. The switch on the bottom side. I was gonna say left, which I guess it's to Link's left. And I think I was thinking there was an invisible floor there. That's why I kept on making Link suffer for eternity. But it's okay, because his suffering was soon over. Because eternity ended. Ended. Bleh. You know, one thing I do have to say, I think this game makes really good use of using your items outside the actual dungeon. It's something that not a lot of Zelda games actually do. But this one, they really have you use your items. And I think that's really cool. I think that hopefully that's going to be a recurring theme if they do a traditional style Zelda game again. Can't say for certain, but I hope so. And there's just tons of Goron Amber. I don't know why that is. I guess because this is a Goron Temple, but still, a little strange. And you guys could probably guess what this is going to be. The boss key. So, we actually do get to control Gongoron again for part of this boss fight. Which is very cool, because we could play as a different character, which didn't happen too often in the Zelda games. I mean, we got some in Wind Waker, but traditional Zelda games, I don't really think we saw it a whole lot for these two games. So it is cool to experience. There's a dog in the background. He's probably trying to let's play the game with me, which he's not allowed to because this isn't his DS game. It's mine. Yeah, the stone statue guy is actually telling us the truth. There's no hidden rooms. I don't know where I was going here. Let's see, where am I going? Oh, I want to get more bombs. Oh, right here. See, I knew something was up. And it was all that for 20 rupee, which I'm pretty sure I could have just went down across the bridge. Oh, did I No, I didn't do that. Okay. See, sometimes I have decent short-term memory, other times it's garbage and I'll forget something like immediately after. Which you can kind of notice happens quite frequently. Oh, I guess there was no bridge there. Haha. Guess I was smarter back then. I don't know why that dog wants to be a part of this Let's Play, but he's not allowed to be. I don't want him to hear me, though. I don't even know if you guys could hear it, but maybe you can. So, here is going to be our boss fight. Dongorongo? Armored Lizard? It's a very strange name. And I don't know what Cecilia was about to suggest, maybe using arrows. It's nothing I can think of. And the way this guy works, you just gotta keep tapping on him. Get him to break his little armor thingy. And then make sure you watch after Link too, because we don't want to take damage. So we use a Bombchu, and I believe we have to hit a specific spot. And I don't know if Gongoron has any health or not. Maybe. Okay, I guess you do just use Gongoron for this part. Which I thought we used Bombchu. Oh, this is where you used Bombchu. My bad. And then make sure it actually registers going into his mouth. Because if it doesn't do that little link up thing, it's not going to go in his mouth. Which we kind of needed to do. Which took me a minute to figure out, but don't worry, I figured it out. After this cycle. And I don't know how the Goron's ground pounds are somehow not killing this guy. It's a little strange. But it's... maybe it's because it's a young Goron, which would make more sense. The fact that he's able to stun the Dongorongo, or whatever, it's quite fascinating. And there we go, got one shot on him. And you gotta wonder what Dodongos and Dongorongo's insides are made of that like can allow them to take multiple bombs. Because it's gotta be something like pretty tough. And you do have to be careful about how you line up your Bombchus. Like you just saw that first Bombchu didn't work because it was a straight line, and that won't make sense. And I guess Dongoron does use Link's health. And it's nice that the Bombchus, when you use them, they freeze time. So you don't have to like worry about Link taking damage or whatnot. But I don't think that Bombchu hit, unfortunately. But I think this one does. Or I guess not. See, he heard me say that, and then he decided to change his mind about letting the Bombchu inside it. But I think this was a cool way to use the Bombchus for a boss fight. And also controlling Gongoron for the boss fight too. That was pretty cool. Overall, a very cool boss fight, I must say. LOL, psych, it's not over yet. Because he's still not dead yet. After taking 3 bombs, his insides are still... they're still fine. Except that thing popping up, which I don't know what that's supposed to be. Maybe it's his heart. Now we can use actual bombs on him. I don't think Bombchus work. Yeah, no, we gotta use actual bombs. And that's another thing I feel like isn't seen too often. Actually using like 2 different dungeon items to defeat one boss. I think this is like one of the first times that's ever happened, right? Like, it's necessary to use 2 items, I should say. And I think the fact that he's stunned, but he makes that super loud grunting noise when Link's slashing at his back. Why doesn't he just get up then? Like, if he knows the pain's happening, why doesn't he just, like, get an adrenaline rush? Unless these species don't get adrenaline rush? I don't really know. I just don't know. But this is just pretty much how the fight goes. That's a rinse and repeat. You just gotta kill these guys if they come after you. And then dodge his little flame balls, throw the bomb in his mouth once he starts sucking in air. And slash at his back. You might be able to do it in 2 cycles, or 1 cycle if you have the offense upgrade. I'm not sure. And if you're doing jump attacks, sprint attacks, that sort of thing. But that is the boss taken down. And of course, we get a heart container, because why wouldn't we? And some more sands of time. But I think that is going to do it for this video. So I want to thank you guys all for watching. I hope you have a good rest of your day.